Well, hello there. A few months ago, I came to you and I said, I am going to build what I believe is the best beta system on YouTube. And you looked at me like I was crazy. You said, this guy has some kind of an ego to think that he can do that. Well, I did it. And I put together what I believe is the best beta system on YouTube. Do you think it's the best beta system? I hope you do. But if you don't, well, that's okay too. The thing is, my beautiful wife, Lisa, and I, we have a business where we sell betas to customers all over the country. So to us, we feel like we need to start this whole process out with what we believe is the best beta system on YouTube. It doesn't really matter what everybody else thinks. If we're going to give you a good product, we have to start with what we believe is the best. And in my opinion, it is the best. I hope somebody one-ups me. I hope somebody does another system and it's way better than this one. That would actually make me very happy. But for now, I'm going to tell you that I believe this is the best one out there. Now, this system has taken several months to complete, and it's nobody's fault but mine. It's not one of those things where it was so difficult that it took months to do it. No, it's just I would work on it a little bit and then move on to work on another thing and then come back and then go back and forth. And at some point that got to me where I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't know why I'm doing this. I need to get this thing done so that we can get this thing full speed ahead for our business. And so I buckled down and I said, okay, it's got to get done. And today I'm happy to tell you that it is completely done. I'm also not happy to tell you that I've lied to you. I've looked you in the eye and I've told you a bold-faced lie because I said that I am building a system that will house 300 beta aquariums. And the system in the end holds 296. But it's not my fault because my wife wanted to not have tanks in front of the window and I didn't want to put tanks on the corners because that would just look weird. So the system would have had probably about 325, but because of those small little aesthetic changes that we made, it only ended up with 296. And I say, oh shucks, only 296. I think that's plenty. So what I want to do in this video is kind of recap with you how this whole process went down and then also go into detail about some of the stuff that I've already received a whole lot of questions about. This whole thing started with this room being bare. It was before we even moved into this house. This is an old one-room schoolhouse that's on a property that we bought in Northeast North Carolina, and we have converted it now into an absolutely gorgeous beta system. We had to start with painting the walls black, which I think it's kind of the unanimous best color for aquariums, particularly if you're trying to make them look really high-end and really fancy. Once the walls were painted, I hung brackets along the wall that would hold these 2x8 shelves, which I stained and polyurethaned to give it that rich mahogany kind of Ron Burgundy type look. And I'm really, really pleased with how that turned out. And more importantly, my beautiful wife, Lisa, is pleased with how that turned out. I also cut a groove in the bottom of all of the shelves to house LED lights. I bought these lights from the devil, Amazon. It's the only place I could find them that didn't cost an arm and a leg. I like to avoid Amazon at all costs, but sometimes you just can't. And so the brackets and the LED lights all came from Amazon. I'm not going to put links in the description because I don't want to support that company. Not because I think Amazon is a bad company, but I hate what they do to our industry. I hate what they do to the aquarium industry. And it's not really Amazon's fault other than the fact that it's just a wide open platform. But anyway, we don't need to talk about that. Let me know in the comments if you think I should do a rant video about my hatred for Amazon and what they're doing to this industry. But anyway, once all of the shelves were done, it was time to move on to the plumbing system, which is kind of the heart and soul of this whole deal. And that starts with the tanks. Now, I get a lot of questions about these tanks. I've had probably 3 dozen emails from the next beta breeder that wants to set up a system like this one. And they say, hey, could you tell me where you got these tanks? No, I'm not going to tell you, except for to tell you I ordered them from China from a website called Alibaba. That's kind of like the Chinese version of Amazon / Etsy slash eBay, and like everybody sells everything out there. There's a lot of custom acrylic manufacturers that do things. I ordered sample tanks from 4 different companies out of China. I had to pay for those. They came into me. I looked at them. We filled them all with water. We tested them to see how they would work out. And if I'm being honest, all of them were fine. There was really only one that as soon as I took it out of the box, I was like, no, I don't know what these people are doing. But the other 3 were fine. And even that 4th one, it would have worked, but it just wasn't. I don't know. There was something about it. We don't need to get into those details. But once I had the sample of these tanks from all of these different companies, we looked at the cost, we looked at the shipping costs, we looked at the turnaround time, looked at all of that, and made the decision of which company we were going to go with to have these made for us. It took them about 3 weeks to make all of these tanks, and then it took another few weeks for them to get shipped over here to us. But then we had them. We ordered 300 of these, and the total cost for these tanks was about $3,000, between $3,000 and $3,500 to get all of these tanks. And if you think about it, if you look around a little bit, you'll see that that's actually a really good deal. And unfortunately, as much as I am an American-made person and I would love to support American-made companies, they would cost about 4 times that if I was to order them from an custom acrylic person down the road. So, you know, as much as I want to stay within the confines of the United States, it's just something that was not going to be possible to do. So that's the story on the tanks. Now, the next piece to this puzzle was being able to get water from the tanks down to a sump system. This is a recirculating system, because if we didn't have a recirculating system, Lisa would be coming into here and individually water changing every single one of these 300 tanks. And you can imagine how long that takes. I know exactly how long it takes, because that's how we had to do it at the other house. That's why I built this system for her, so that she didn't have to do that anymore, because she was probably spending 50 hours a week doing water changes. And that's just not good business. So that's why we did it that way, so that we can do water changes as a whole instead of going through and individually doing all of those tanks. But anyway, getting the water from the tanks down to the sump starts with a hole. This tank is actually broken. I broke it. I drilled it too hard. But drilling a hole in the back and then installing into it this grommet. This grommet installs into the hole, and then this elbow piece, which is burred on both ends, goes into that. The burr on this is what makes this grommet expand into the hole and seal it off. And I'm going to tell you this. I have no reason to tell you this other than the fact that it's the truth. We have not had one of these leak. I was a little hesitant at first. In fact, I ordered a bunch to test out, because when I called up Gemco and I asked them about these, they said, oh yeah, they're great. And I said, I don't believe you. Send me some of them. I paid for them and I want to test them out. And even with the testers, they don't leak. They are a great way to drill hundreds of tanks and get them all done in a very inexpensive way. I believe this entire thing here, the grommet and the elbow, is less than $1 each. So $300 roughly, and we were able to get the drains in every single tank. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of same thing over and over and over and over again, but the end result is very, very good. Now, on the other end of this elbow, I put in a small 5/8 inch hose, which goes down into the main drain in the whole system. That is a one drain that all of the tanks drain into, and they all go down into the sump. It's a very small amount of water that's going through each tank, but once it's all in there and they're all draining, it's quite a bit of water that's flowing through these pipes. So I used 1.25 inch PVC pipe for the drains, just to make sure that they were big enough. I have them all set at a slight angle so that gravity will pull the water down into the sump, and it works just perfectly. Now, once the water goes down into the sump, I don't do anything with it. And a lot of people are going to wonder why. How come you don't have all these different filter socks and all this sophisticated sump system? The reason why is because it's just not necessary. If you look around at any Betta retailer or Betta retailer, you might call them that, most of them are not going to have their tanks filtered at all. They're going to have their Bettas in small tanks that the water's just sitting there, stagnant. There's no movement, there's no nothing. And they just go through and manually water change every single tank. So this, with the water moving a little bit, is actually way better than that. They're not sitting there in stagnant, nasty toilet water. The water's actually circulating through the whole thing. So even without having some elaborate filtration system down in the sump, it's still way better than what they would have gotten if these fish had been sold to almost any other retailer out there. So I'm not trying to brag, I'm just saying we try to pamper these fish as good as we can. And the good thing about it is we're pampering the fish and also making it easier for ourselves. Oh, I don't know how Lisa works out here all day. It is so hot. So the water goes down into the sump and then it is pumped back out with the Seche Syncra 700, I believe is the model number, pump. These pumps are great. They have a small module that you can adjust the flow on them, and you can even hook them up to an app on your phone if you're that kind of person, and you can adjust the flow with your phone. But I'm not really into all that kind of stuff. I just want to push a button and have it work, and that's all fine. But this flows through 3/4 inch PVC pipe, which we used for the supply lines. That takes water all back to the tanks, and then they flow into these small valves here. Again, this is a product that I bought from Gemco. I bought 325 of these, I think, because, you know, they're small pieces. You're buying that many. Sometimes you might have them that don't work out well. And so I bought extras. And plus, you know, you never really know when you might need extras. So these are threaded on one end, and then they have a 1/4 inch barb on the other end. So what I had to do was drill 300 holes for all of these valves and then go through and tap them to put the threads into it. It was a lot of over and over and over and over again, same thing, but I actually enjoy that kind of work, so it worked out really good for me. Very therapeutic to do that kind of work. These are have an adjustment on them to adjust the amount of flow that goes into the tank, and then I used this. This is a product you may have seen before. This is, well, it's airline, but this is just not some ordinary airline. This is the Aquarium Co-op black airline, and the reason why I use it is because of this. It's not rigid. It's very flexible. It's very, very easy to work with. So if they're rigid, they can crack, they can break, especially with water going through them, not just air. They're designed for air, but with water going through it, I like the flexibility of it. If the things aren't exactly lined up, we can route this around and it's not going to be a problem down the road. I can't believe I forgot about this. Talked about these last week. These little folders. I ordered, I don't know how many. I ordered like 175 black plastic file folders and cut them all by hand. Lisa didn't even help me with one. I did them all myself. Shame on her. But had to cut all of these individually to fit in between the tanks so that they're all black and they all match and it all looks good instead of the rainbow of colors that we had before. That's going to lead you to another question, John. Why not just paint the sides of the tanks? Wouldn't that be so much easier? Yes, it absolutely would. However, we like to allow our betas to exercise. What does that mean? We like to pull those cards out so that they can see each other. And when they see each other, they start flexing their muscles. They start flaring. It's actually good exercise for them. It's almost like running on the treadmill for 15 minutes for them. So it's great for them to be able to do that. Lisa will come in here and pull these out section by section and give them 15 or 20 minutes of exercise, and then she'll put them all back in. Can't do that if the sides of the tanks are painted. So what we're left with is 300 Betta aquariums. Excuse me, I lied to you again. 296 Betta aquariums that are all filtered. They all have a small amount of water movement. Bettas don't like to get blown around all over the place. They like the water to be pretty still, and it is pretty still. I haven't really tested it out, but I would imagine the tanks probably turn over 3 or 4 times a day. It takes a while for these things to fill up. I have drained them out completely and then just let them naturally fill back up again. And it takes a while. It's not something that's turning over 4 times an hour or anything like that. It's not high speed like that. It's actually a very slow movement. But what it allows us to do is not have to go through and individually water change all of these. Now, from a maintenance standpoint, Lisa does go through every day with a turkey baster and a spare tank or a jug like this, and she goes through and sucks out the poop. I don't know how long it takes her, but she goes through and she does that. And that's pretty much all the maintenance that ever needs to be done. Sometimes the water might not be moving very quickly, so she'll have to adjust the valve or something. Very minor, little things that she has to go through and do, but overall, it's way better than if she was to have to individually water change all of these. I helped her with that back at the old place. I watched her do that, and I would never want to do that every single day. That's just, no. So to avoid that, I set out to build what is the best Betta system, not only from an appearance standpoint, but also from an efficiency standpoint. That was very important to me. This is our business. It's just the two of us. We sell live Bettas and we sell a ton of dry goods and all of that. All of the aquarium supplies that you could ever need, we sell out of our barn, and it's just the two of us. So we need something that just the two of us are able to maintain. And if I'm being honest with you, I do basically nothing with the Bettas. I pack them, but she's the one that takes care of all of these Bettas. And when it comes to shipping day, she puts them in the bags. She brings the bags of fish to me. I put them in the boxes and I ship them out. So this is her realm. This is what she does all day, every day. And so we all know the saying, happy wife equals happy life. But not only that, I've got to look at it as happy wife and happy business partner, because it's both. And I got to keep her happy. But she is thrilled with this system. She's so excited about it, particularly that it's finally done. She's had this vision of having this one day, and now that's all come true. So I am very, very happy to be able to do that for her. I'm happy to do that for our business, and I'm happy to do it for you, because there's a lot of people that dream of a system like this, and now you know what's involved in putting something like this together. Now, there's going to be a big question that not everybody, a lot of people are going to want to know, and they're going to email me, and they're going to want this answer. And I don't know the exact answer, but I'm going to give you something close. And that is, how much did this entire system cost? It's a tough question to answer, because there are some things like the CJ pumps. Those are very expensive pumps. I get them at half price because they are store use. Plus, I have a good relationship with CJ. So I paid half price for those. A lot of the things, I mean, I paid full price for the tanks, paid full price for all of the stuff from Gemco. I had to go to Home Depot and buy a lot of stuff like the 2x8s. I bought those 2x8s right in the middle of the worst time ever to buy lumber. I think that was about $1,000 for the lumber to do this. Maybe not quite that much, but it was a lot. In fact, I know it wasn't that much because I bought the pipes with it. So anyway, I did do the math kind of in my head, and I'm going to give you a ballpark. The ballpark of this entire system, 296 tanks with 2 sumps supplying those, so it's 2 independent systems, is anywhere from $5,500 to $6,000. That's what you could expect to pay for something like this. And that's going into the paint, screws, the LED lights, the plumbing fittings, the plumbing glue, all of that. You put it all together. Let's go easy. Let's just say between $5,000 and $6,000. It's a lot of money. For us, it's a business expense. For somebody that is doing this as a hobby, oh boy. I mean, that's a lot of money to spend, and that's a lot of work that I don't know that I would want to do. So this is the kind of video that is very difficult to end, because I don't know really what to say to finish this video off, other than this has been a lot of fun. It's been grueling, it's been exhausting, it's been expensive, and it's taken a long time. But in the end, to be able to come in here and look around and see this, it just makes me feel good. And more importantly, it makes Lisa feel good, because she's out here in this hot room every single day. And I'm glad to be able to bring her something, make something for her that is easier for her and that makes her enjoy her job even more. So everybody wins in this situation. The betas win because they're in a really good setup. The person who's taking care of all of these wins because she's happy with the system, which makes me win because happy wife, happy life. And also, I know this sounds cheesy, but you win. You, the customer on the other end, because you are getting a beta that's been taken care of better than, well, anywhere else that you would buy a beta. Am I a little biased? Sure, a little bit, but that's the goal here, is to be able to provide the customer at the end with the best product possible. And I believe if they're pampered by us, that they're going to come to you happier and healthier than if you were to buy them from a little cup somewhere. A lot of places are having them in those cups. They send you pretty pictures, but at the end of the day, those things are in little cups. Not if you're buying them from us. This is what you get. So yeah, sales pitch there, sure. But hey, this is what I do for a living. So take it or leave it. But like I said, I don't know what to say to end this video other than to say thank you for going along this journey with me. Thank you for sending the questions in that you've sent about this, because it kind of opened my eyes to the fact that I needed to do this video to kind of clarify everything. Thank you for just being a subscriber and watching our content on this. I've had so many messages from people saying, I'm not even interested in betas, but I've had so much fun watching you build that system. And that means a lot. So just thank you. That's all. Thank you. This has been an amazing journey, and hopefully we get a couple years out of it before we have to move it and build another one, because I'm not looking forward to that. Don't get any ideas. We're not going anywhere for a long time. And if we go anywhere, it's just going to be moving it to another building on this property. But I hope that never happens. What did I just get myself into? I feel like Hagrid. Shouldn't have told you that. But anyway, thank you for watching. Bye.